We're going to be taking a jet to Atlanta, going to meet with the founder of VinWiki, Ed Bolian. I'm sure some of you have seen his channel, and you know that channel blew up to over 300,000 subscribers super quick. What's up guys, here with another video, and welcome to the interview with Ed Bolian, the founder of VinWiki. So he started off as a young entrepreneur, actually selling iguanas, I believe, in middle school. And then he started his own exotic car rental business in college. So I'm interviewing him here in this video, so stay tuned for that. But it's a little bit choppy, nothing was really planned, we just sort of sat down, and a little bit of it was recorded. So just watch that, it's pretty interesting. So see you at the end. Everybody loves your storytelling.
I never fancied myself much of a storyteller. I mean, I knew I had a few interesting things to talk about.
Like the use of your words, I feel like you use words that like people don't hear that often. Then when you say it like within the story, and it just like catches their attention and makes them more engaged and they're listening into it.
And while I use it facetiously most of the time, it does sort of encapsulate a lot of the attitudes and strategies that I use.
Yeah, that's something for me. When I first started my YouTube channel, I was like so bad, like talking to the camera. It took me a while to get used to that. You know, be more charismatic. And I also feel like it's helped me better talking to other people.
Right.
Start recording videos. It's sort of like you're talking to someone, then you go and meet someone, and this sort of relates.
Sure. Yeah. It's a strange thing, and you know, there's no recipe for it. You know, you couldn't replicate what I've done, what Doug's done, what any of these guys have done pertaining to cars or whatever business you want. It's just, you know, it's about finding the right opportunity at the right time and then really finding a way to roll with it.
Was the first business you started the exotic rental when you were in college? Sort
of. That was the first kind of really legitimate business. I had something of a business selling albino iguanas when I was a kid.
Oh yeah? Like how old?
Middle school and into high school. So I had a bunch of iguanas that we were breeding in my parents' basement. And,
interesting.
Yeah, so that was the first one. And then the rental car company was a real business, obviously. You know, it did real things. And that was good fun, but as the economy got really bad in 2008 and 2009, essentially the values of luxury assets depreciated really badly and then really bottomed out. And so that was pretty easy to tell, like they weren't going to go that much lower. So the people that had decent credit just bought them at that point. And so the quality of my customer base sort of eroded. And
I see that.
I ended up needing to find something else.
That was locally, right?
It was, yep.
And how old were you then?
20. I got out of that in when I was probably 24, 5. And I'd already taken the job at the dealership and was kind of juggling both for a little while, but I realized that I could make a lot more money just focusing on selling cars rather than occasionally trying to rent somebody one in lieu of it or whatever. And they kind of wanted me to blend it together and bring it into the dealership and make it more of a thing, but it didn't make sense to add a step to either process. Like, would you be more qualified to rent a car or buy a car, or whatever the case may be.
So what made you want to start an exotic rental car company compared to like anything else? Like, there's like tons of liabilities, like renting out exotic cars.
Yeah, it's really a terrible idea in most cases because there's just so many things that can go wrong. Yeah. And I didn't really, I mean, I knew that there was an opportunity. I knew that you could create revenue, and it was a fun thing to do. So I also knew that it was so risky that at later points in my life I wouldn't be able to take those risks. Like certainly today I wouldn't start the same business because I have a lot more to lose. But being a broke and bankrupt college student isn't that much different than just being a broke college student. So I could, you know, kind of pick between them. Yeah. I mean, I had a very supportive family, but I never really had family money to lean on or anything like that. So it's not like most YouTubers that are trying to pretend like they make their own money. And
how long ago did you start VinWiki?
Early in 2016. We launched it in June of 2016. So we ran it for about a year. It was growing okay. I mean, like any early social app, trying to really educate people and show them how to use something can be pretty difficult. Like it's not something they just pick up immediately. And so the idea of being able to take some time and get users that are going to kind of build a community that makes a lot of sense was tough. But it's worked well, and then we once we launched the YouTube channel, we went from like 5,000 users to about 60,000 so far.
That's good.
So it's about 1,200% growth in about 8-9 months now. So that's.
So is this something you're focusing more on the whole community aspect of growing it, just building it right now, or are you focusing also like mainly on like the business aspect of making money, how we're going to make money? Or is it more?
So different industries are different. So like with this is a data acquisition play, essentially. So, you know, we accumulated a lot of data that can be used in some different ways, and we may end up selling it to a larger automotive data company. We may end up licensing some of the data to someone else. I mean, we know we're not going to charge users to use the app because it doesn't work that way, but it's, you know, there's a lot of directions it can go. It's still a low chance of success, and it's one of those things that we really do because we love it, and it's something that the community needs, and it's modeled after the ways that I sold cars. And in that regard, it works really well, but it's not necessarily, you know, doesn't mean that I'm going to get rich off of it anytime soon.
So is this like your main focus, or are you also focusing on like other businesses that you have?
No, this is really it right now. And that's kind of been the interesting sort of saving grace of YouTube, is that it prolongs the runway for VinWiki of just my time to be able to spend on it. So it certainly is a massive distraction from that, because it takes a ton of time to make a different video every day. And like some days like today we release 2, and that, you know, doubles the amount of time that's required.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how fast it blew up the YouTube channel.
Well, I was talking to DeMuro about it, and he said, you know, there will be times where it grows at high rates, and there will be times it grows at low rates, and it doesn't really work linearly. Like, the subscriber growth can be pretty linear, but the revenue isn't, and doesn't correlate at all to subscription, and so you just don't ever know when, if, how you're going to make any money. So it's, even him, you know, he's like, it's hard to count on the money he makes, even though he gets 1 million views a day. Like, yes, he will make some money for the foreseeable future from it, but you never know how much. You can't set a budget. You can't set any expectations of how all that's going to go. Lou has a huge YouTube channel. He's local here. You know, he's been making YouTube videos since he's a kid, and he's a fantastic guy and well-spoken and knows what he's doing. But like, when you have that sort of peripheral social media fame, like, it's very hard to go into a more traditional income-seeking life. And he's done great with it, but the question becomes, like, it continues to decline a little bit. Is he going to be able to make money off this 10 years from now? And I don't know the answer to that. You know, he can transform his image and do other things and have other users or audience, but like, you know, nothing has an infinite shelf life like you're finding. Certainly things have longer than a, you know, 6-12 month shelf life where you get tired of it or it doesn't work well anymore, whatever the case may be. But there's always going to be something else. And, you know, if it was a year ago, we'd all be talking about cryptocurrency, and, you know, now nobody cares. And so it's just all these things that if you evaluate your perception of what business looks like from what you can consume on social media, you get some really skewed ideas of what it means. Like, I don't know how much you've made off of your drop shipping and your internet companies, but I would say go buy a car wash. Car washes print money in perpetuity forever so efficiently that people use them to launder money. So a business that exists that makes money, that you're buying a revenue stream, that can be a terrific thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Branch out into other stuff that has longevity to it instead of just trying to make a quick buck on these different ventures.
For sure. Certainly there are ways to make a quick buck on things that will also make a lot of bucks for a long time, but that's tough. And, you know, I would say go to college, spend your time. You know, you can, college is the best time to be an entrepreneur because no one expects you to make money. So if you do, it's terrific, and you're not going to have many expenses otherwise. And it'll certainly, you know, make you a better, more capable entrepreneur if that's what you decide to do, or it may qualify you to do something else. I mean, if I hadn't had the chance to just sort of sit back and relax and sell cars for a little while, a lot of the things that I have been able to and will continue to be able to do just wouldn't have been possible because, you know, the lifestyle of being an entrepreneur is so exhausting that you find yourself at times just like, gosh, I don't know if I can keep doing this anymore.
And what would you say to any person, like I'm 17, say any 17-year-old, like what advice, whether it's business or just overall, to like growing up in today's society, like what do they need to be most careful with? What's the best route to go for like
Well, it's not a set path. It's so hard because of the way we're presented with information today to actually learn what makes you tick and what you're actually good at. There's a lot of ways you can be successful as sort of a flash in the pan, like this works for a little while and then it's just gone. And there's nothing wrong with being successful in a short term, or it's something that just fundamentally can't be permanent, but at the same time, you have to make sure that what you're doing now contributes to a bigger picture, to whatever the end game is. And you know, you're at a point in your life where opportunities aren't really limited. Like, you can do whatever you want. And as you go through the next 10 years of your life, those are all going to change. Like, those opportunities are just going to start to go away. So, you know, if you don't start going to school very quickly, you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or things like that. And whether or not you want to, you just start to realize, like, if I did want that, I couldn't do it anymore because of where I'm at in my life. And so really spending a lot more time in personal introspection rather than just the consumption of the images of everybody else that you see in the world, to me, is a lot more important. I mean, it's so easy to see inside of someone else's life right now just based on the way social media works, but at the same time, it doesn't invite you to really think about what makes you tick and what's going to motivate you to survive a 40, 50-year working career. And, you know, it's easy to think, all right, I'm going to sell my business and make $20 million or $100 million or whatever the case may be, but that's not realistic. Like, if somebody was sitting across from you that played basketball at your age saying, I'm going to get a $150 million contract in the NBA, you'd say the odds of that happening are low. And so having the best possible outcome from whatever it is that you think you want to do is unlikely. And so it's not that it can't happen, it's not that it won't. It's not that easy. And so, you know, for all the things that I've done, I mean, some have been successful enough to let me live comfortably and have fun things and play with fun things, but none of them have been such successes that they just invite me to do whatever I want with my life. I still gotta wake up and do something to make some money. So I think really it's just, at your age, just spending time figuring out what really fulfills you and what do you feel gifted at that you can use to make yourself a more likely success within that idea. Because there certainly are things that, you know, anyone can go out and spend $150,000 on a Subway franchise and become a sandwich artist and make a lot of money. It's pretty easy. You know, that's why Shaq owns 500 of them. But that doesn't really mean that going that way, you know, is the way everybody should go. Certainly there are people who are better at certain things and they are gifted in certain areas and they're going to be more successful in some different context.
So would you say go where the money goes or go where your passion goes?
Go where your passion goes, for sure. I mean, the money doesn't matter. It's kind of the scoreboard. But at the end of the day, you know, you start to figure out, like, there's only so much that you can spend, and it limits your friends, and it makes it a lot harder to, you know, tell what people really want. And so it's being rich for the sake of being rich is a pretty stupid idea. If there's some specific thing that you really want and you have to be this wealthy in order to be able to afford it, then by all means do that thing. But you know, the way that people spend their money as they accumulate millions and billions of dollars demonstrates that, you know, they wouldn't have been any better off to have that than they would have half of it or a quarter or 10% or none. It just doesn't matter.
And before we end this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to Ed Bolian from VinWiki for allowing me to come by, check out his warehouse, and come talk to him for a little bit and film this video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it and learned something. Make sure you go check out Ed's channel below if you haven't already. It's called VinWiki. It's basically automotive stories from different people telling different experiences they've had while being part of the automotive community. So I'll put a link below and go click on that, go check it out. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.